ebook.
Not
Going
yet.
through it.
Maybe. But good evening, everyone. Tonight is Monday, July 21st, 2025. The time is now 6:30 p.m. This is a meeting of the Town of Rockland Board of our Sewer Commissioners. I am the chair, Mike Mullen. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. The second item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes from June 23rd, 2025. I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
There's a motion made. There's a motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's a vote. Let's see. Like the biggest piece on the agenda this evening, we have a preliminary design report from our representatives from White Pierce. Gentlemen, thank you for thank you for being here to present. I know I have a few questions about kind of where we are in the process here, how we go forward, the timeline in which we go forward with everything. But I'll let you guys really jump in with an overview about the design, and then we can jump into everything else.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having us tonight. I think everybody has an agenda.
Yes.
Preliminary design report agenda, so happy to be here tonight. We've done a lot of work on the contract one upgrade so far, so I think you guys have copies of the preliminary design report as well, better known as the PDR. Don't know if you guys have had a chance to get through it yet, Dave. I know we chatted a little bit. I think you've had at least the first pass through, but you guys will see, and the bulk of our agenda is really to kind of walk through what we did, but more importantly, a summary of our recommendations. We use preliminary design as that transition point to go into final design, where the plans and specs ultimately will be bid out, and then we'll construct the upgrade. So the timing is good for us to get together right now. I know there may be some subsequent meetings as well. Seems like we all know each other. We don't need to do any more introductions, Dave. You guys?
I'm fine with it. As long as everyone else is.
Okay.
Fine.
Excellent. Looking at the second item on the agenda, just a quick refresh on the communication protocols. I know when we met a few months back, so I don't know that the contact list changed much, Adam, other than we know that you guys are still working through the final details of your OPM, which that part of it's blank today. We can get those details from you and fill those blanks in at a later date. Still have the SharePoint site, which I think we've been using, Adam, to some extent.
Yeah,
If it's too big for email.
I shared the PDR using that.
Yep, and that's been working on your end, Dave, as far as?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we have a number of things, we'll talk about budget and timeline and those things towards the end of the agenda, if that's okay by you guys.
Yep.
So Adam, I can hand the baton to you if you want to jump in, and we'll just kind of go area by area where we're at. And I know you have a number of other things. We have some full-size drawings. If we want to get a little bit into some of the different areas, we can do that too.
Yeah, I didn't know if you guys had printed out anything, so I have 2 copies of the draft PDR. It's not the full report. I took out some of the appendices that I didn't think we'd talk about tonight. So if anyone does want a copy to flip through while we talk, feel free. Thanks. Also 2 sets of select drawings as well, some of the code notes and stuff I didn't print off, but we can use those as well. So just a refresher of what the plan is, and then a little update on kind of the decisions we made during preliminary design that have been memorialized in the report. So the plan is to do a secondary treatment upgrade, primarily focusing on the aeration tanks and secondary clarifiers. And then we also are doing an electrical overhaul, so that general plan has not changed. So we plan to get rid of the mechanical surface areas, which are very old and tired, and hopefully have not broken down since we've been working on design. We're going to replace those with a somewhat similar technology. So right now, the mechanical surface area has a motor on top and then blades that sit basically at the water surface and spin to get oxygen into the tanks. We're gonna replace those with a mixer that goes all the way down to the floor of the tank rather than on the top,
Okay.
which just allows us to get better air transfer as it comes up through the water column. And then you also will have the ability in the future to turn the air off to any of those and just run them as a mixer. So if you ever want to do on-off aeration or something like that, you have that flexibility. During design, we did size out those to get the horsepower requirements. So right now, and how we envision the process operating into the future is what we would call series operation.
I got
Series operation for the tanks. So basically, wastewater comes in through the influent channel, comes into tank 1, goes to tank 2, goes to tank 3, goes to tank 4, and then out, and is mirrored on the other side. So all your BOD load comes into that first tank. So because that gets higher load, it needs more air. So you'll see in the design report, tank 1 and 2 have larger mixer aerators than tank 3 and 4 do. And that's primarily why they need quite a bit more air in there. You'll also see the air piping itself is a little larger going to those two tanks. So zone 1 and 2 will have 50 horsepower mixer aerators, and tank 3 and 4 will have 20 horsepower mixer aerators. The new blower building. Thank you. We are planning to have sit over here by that tree in the grassy area still. That hasn't changed. So over by the fence line in the anaerobic digester facility right here. So this side will have blowers, this side will have electrical equipment. The blowers will have air piping that comes across the road and then over to the aeration tanks. For those blowers, they are positive displacement hybrid screw compressor, which basically they're just a very efficient positive displacement style blower, so they can turn down further and use less horsepower during normal operations. 3 blowers is what we sized out, 150 horsepower each. The air piping from the building to the tanks and all along the tanks will be stainless steel. One thing that we have seen throughout our designs of this style blower in particular, they can have a lot of noise go through the piping, so we are going to provide provisions to insulate those to prevent the noise from traveling and being a nuisance. So you will see that in the design, and it's not because of heat, it's because of noise. Each of these tanks will have what we call a drop leg for the air, which I find helpful. So the air piping will be a combined header for all 3 blowers to come across from the building to the tanks. They'll come down the tank length, and as we get to each tank, it'll have a dedicated pipe that delivers air to that tank alone. So that's what we call a drop leg, is this piece here. Each of these drop legs will have an isolation valve and an airflow meter and a control valve. So the control valve opens and closes to basically control how much air gets to the tank. And this will be mirrored in the other tank. For the air piping, when it crosses the road, we are planning to have that have the bottom of the pipe be at least 13.5 feet up, so it does need to be supported, and that's really so you can get truck traffic underneath it without having an issue with hitting it. So a Vector truck or a ladder fire truck or something like that.
Yeah, like what do you mean, like one overhead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically it'll come out towards the ground in the blower building because we can keep that header low.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as it gets out of the building, we'll go up and over the road, and then we'll come down to the aeration tanks.
What's the reason for the overhead as opposed to underground infrastructure?
So typically we try to keep stainless steel air piping above ground these days.
Mm-hmm.
There was a pretty big push for a long time to have it underground, and then you just never know when it leaks. And stainless steel air piping leaks pretty easily. So that's one of the driving factors, is just operational costs. You don't want to be wasting air and not being able to find it and get access to it. There's not a lot of conflict pipe-wise out in the yard, so we could bury it. That is certainly one of the options, but we wouldn't recommend it. It is a little bit more expensive to support it to get it up.
What size pipe do you use to?
It's a 16-inch header. It's not called out on this one, but this big pipe will be 16-inch, and then each of these ones are a bit smaller.
So it's a trade-off, you know, you can see it, what do we think aesthetically, even though it's a wastewater treatment plant, you can still see it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as Adam described, you know, there are some other challenges with burying it. So we always have that discussion, and again, our recommendation is up and over.
Yeah.
If you guys feel strongly that you don't like it, let's talk.
And if you did bury it, it would reduce the noise consideration, so you wouldn't have to insulate it,
Mhm.
obviously, if it's underground.
Could you vault it
I
underground
was just,
as opposed to direct burial?
You probably could. I don't know if that would save money, but it certainly would save the aesthetic part of it.
Yeah, I was just curious.
or
I
you
was
can
just
get a
concerned.
cover, couldn't you get a cover for the road or something, or you can actually, almost like a manhole cover, but it's gonna be rectangular where you can pop it? If
That's what I was
Get in
saying,
and
the vault.
access it.
The
Yeah,
vault.
I was
that's
thinking
what
something
I
just
mean.
You would have something like that for
For
setup, I
the
know.
cover too.
Yeah. That would certainly allow you to access it after
Yeah.
the fact and keep it sealed up, but,
Okay.
I mean, access, having it above grade certainly speaks for itself. That's
Yeah.
really the primary driver.
I got you.
And there's a couple of negatives to it, but you got access. You
Yeah.
can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can fix it, 'cause it's right there.
Yeah.
The other consideration, we do want a flow meter on the header, so we know how much air is going to the tanks. We can't put it in the building because there's not enough straight pipe diameters up and downstream. So the only place we'll be able to do it is outside the building. So it's probably gonna be somewhere along the horizontal before it gets to the tanks, or we could maybe put it in the tanks where you would have some access to it. But at the tank itself, we are planning to keep the bottom of the pipe about 7 feet, that way someone can walk under it and not have any issues. So, I think that's most of the air system. We are putting in a new control system, so each one of these tanks will have a DO probe, which will monitor the DO in the tank and then send a signal to your air control valves to open and close based on the airflow you need, and the blowers will operate to maintain a header pressure in the system, and will basically go up and down as that pressure dictates. But that's kind of the bulk of where we've landed on the aeration system. Any specific questions on that before I jump to the next piece?
Okay. Yeah, Megan, do you have anything? Any questions? Thoughts?
So you're also gonna raise it as well,
The water
depth,
level?
the
Yes.
depth,
Yeah, it's gonna be probably about a foot increase
okay.
is what we've found
So the
hydraulically.
sidewalls, the concrete,
Nope,
how are you gonna do that?
just
Oh,
the weir.
the weirs,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so the.
So it's similar to the clarifiers where you're
Yes.
just going to change the weirs.
Yeah. So the concrete tanks, right now there's weirs between, there's a gate between tank 1 and 2, and then there's an overflow into like this middle channel between the tanks, and then there's weirs to your effluent channel. We're gonna replace those weirs with weir gates. That way they can open and close so you can still isolate, rather than having to figure out what height you want those weirs at. Same with these internal weirs, they'll all be gates now, so they'll basically open shut.
Okay.
That way you still have
So everything's
isolation.
gonna be gutted except for the structure.
Correct.
What about the pumps? Are the pumps remaining?
Which-
That's not the RAS
RAS.
and the.
RAS pumps are remaining.
Okay.
But yeah, everything internal to the tanks will get replaced, so the gates, the froth spray piping, I don't think there's any other equipment. But yeah, everything essentially is to be
Okay.
replaced. And then we would do some surface repair and crack repair as needed in the
Yeah, I was
tanks.
just gonna say that.
But we're not planning to modify any of the concrete height-wise or anything like that.
Okay.
So the next process piece, and really the only other process piece that we're touching, is the secondary clarifiers. So similar, here we're gonna gut these and replace everything internal to these. So your center column, your bridge, your mechanisms, scum trough, scum piping to the wall, and also your level controller and your scum pit. All that stuff's gonna
Okay.
get replaced. So we're gonna replace the mechanisms in kind, so basically the same thing you have out there, we're gonna put back just new. One thing we did decide, which does have a cost implication, for these clarifiers is we're gonna replace them with stainless steel mechanisms, so they last in the ferric, rather than doing like a painted steel or a carbon steel or something like that has to be maintained. We felt over the lifespan and for the ease of operation, because it's really hard to take one of those tanks down, we'll put stainless steel in there and then you don't have to worry about it over its lifespan.
Well, it'll be a lot easier to take it down after we dissolve it.
That is true. But it'd be great if you had a third one out there. So yeah, everything internal is getting replaced. We're not changing anything other than we are raising the weir height in these as well to get more water depth. And that's all to facilitate a higher flow in the future. So once right now, the influent pumps on that side have 6 MGD capacity. In the future, we're planning to replace those pumps and increase your capacity to 7 MGD. So in order to facilitate that, we're gonna raise some weirs in these structures.
That's every structure?
The clarifiers and the aeration tanks right
Right.
now, eventually we would raise, like the primary clarifiers and we would work in there and that kind of stuff. But for now, it's just the secondary clarifiers and the aeration tanks.
So you guys deem the structures all to be in adequate shape for the new,
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, in like the aeration tanks, we'll do some crack repairs, sealing, that sort of thing.
yeah,
So yeah, but we think they're good enough, you got some more life left in those. Certainly be a whole nother cost discussion if we said, oh, can't
Yeah.
use that concrete, so it appears to be good enough. Not perfect, but we'll touch it up a little bit and get a bunch more years out of it.
One thing we are adding based on, one is good engineering design, and 2 is a request early on that we received from Veolia's side of things. So right now you don't have what are called Stanford baffles or density current baffles. So a little bit down the wall. Actually, don't think we have it shown, but basically, like this far down the wall, you'll have a baffle that sticks out at like a 30 or 45-degree angle, and as sludge comes up this wall, it hits the baffle and gets redirected down. So it really just improves your performance of your secondary clarifiers. And they're just fiberglass baffles that go the whole way around the circumference of the clarifier. Because otherwise that sludge could rise up the wall and then come up and over, and so it helps prevent
They
that.
call it potentially short circuiting of the sludge up and over the weir, so it's pretty simple, but really great idea, so.
And then the other item, which we do have shown, I didn't print it actually, I didn't print the detail sheet, are the algae brush.
Will those
Systems.
interfere with the baffles?
No,
The
so
baffles are low enough?
the algae brushes, will sit in the launder. So essentially, the brush goes along this part of the wall, the bottom of the launder, and this part of the wall,
And the
and they-
baffle will be on the inside.
and the baffle's on the inside.
It'll have a bunch of brushes, you know, to handle the different, you know, so
Yeah.
it's pretty, and it'll go around in the launder.
Yeah.
It worked pretty well.
And that's just to keep like the algae and stuff out of the launder. So, I think that covers the secondary clarifiers. Any questions on that system?
You know, like the only thing I'm wondering, and I'm like rushing ahead like a ton, is like during like construction, like obviously I imagine like we would have to plan for this. Oh yeah, like as part of our design, but like how do we deal with the operation of the system in construction?
Yeah.
Good question.
One of the requirements we have for the contractors, they need to be able to maintain treatment to permit limits.
Okay.
And not interrupt that. So we definitely need to take one tank down at a time. We will never have two tanks offline. So they would take one tank offline, demolish everything, install everything, make sure it works, and then put it into full service, and then take the other one off.
Oh yeah, like and practically speaking, like I would imagine like we would actually. Oh yeah, we would like to do this really during like the summer months as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we can certainly limit the contractor to a time period.
Yep. Okay.
So usually a clarifier takes, well, once it gets delivered, a couple months to demo it out and bring it back up online. So we definitely don't want to do this in the spring.
Yep.
With the high flows that you guys deal with and your peaking factors, we want to do it in summer
Okay.
or like early fall. So we would definitely have that as part of the
That's big
contract.
spec. Okay.
There is, I know you guys haven't had the PDR for a long time yet, but, section 3, implementation, section 3.2 in particular, we tried to at least touch on that
Okay.
a little bit, so feel free to read through that if you have more questions, but
Okay. Well, thank
it's
you.
not too early in preliminary design to start thinking about those things.
Yeah, we have the construction sequencing section, which talks about the aeration tanks, the clarifiers, and the electrical system, because there's gonna be a lot of turnover on the
Oh.
electrical side of things too. But in particular with the aeration tanks, we are expecting only one tank, or one zone
I
to
was
be able
gonna
to
say zone,
yeah,
right?
Okay.
one zone to be able to come down at a time. It'll be interesting, and we may try to have you guys do some work to see what gates are actually operable.
Can you do it at the same time as the clarifier?
You should be able to.
Okay, that way we have one clarifier and one train.
But the question is whether we can take one zone offline and have it truly be isolated if
Yeah.
your gates don't work or, you know, whatever.
We have plugs too, that we've had to use,
Yeah.
so we do have other equipment.
So it would be good to understand what you're sure of now, that, you know, this doesn't work, that kind of thing.
So maybe in early and final design, we can, you know, partner
around
with
with
you
stuff.
guys and play around with stuff, so
Yeah.
to speak, yeah.
But similarly, we ran the model and basically the aeration needs with one tank offline, and you should be able to maintain treatment no matter what time of year it is with one tank, or one zone offline. It gets a little dicier with two zones, but we may need to if we don't have isolation capabilities, so. Anything else on the clarifiers?
Dave, Walter, Bobby, any
No,
questions?
all set.
Okay.
I was just wondering about the, permits being waived by the town.
What permits will be required
Yes.
from the town? Because of the new blower and electrical building, it's, I guess, location next to some wetlands, or at least in the buffer zone. We're not gonna be in the wetlands, but we'll be, I think, within the 100-foot
Oh, yeah.
buffer zone. Our plan is to submit a notice of intent with Conservation Commission.
Mhm.
So then there would be an order of conditions, which we would see what that includes, wrap that into the final design plans and specs. We also attach that to the plans and specs as well. So that's one local permit. Others really would be up to the contractor.
Contractor.
Yeah, and, you know, building permits, so they'll certainly have to. I think right here, yeah, we broke it out into local, so you can see that, Walter, in a little bit more detail. There has been actually some, well, we actually, as part of the generator, we had to coordinate with them a little bit, but I think there's been some early communication on this also, so good question.
Mhm.
So there'll certainly be a building permit, and you'll have electrical and
Yeah,
the appropriate departments involved.
and any subcontractors, do they have to be licensed and insured?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this project is gonna be sufficiently large enough with Massachusetts bid laws that you'll have a general contractor and
Yeah.
file sub-bids for the subcontractors.
Or certain categories.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
for, electrical, probably for HVAC, and probably for plumbing, because these days it seems like you can't do anything for under $25,000.
Maybe roofing, maybe painting, so there's certain
Yeah.
categories that if you're over a certain dollar value, it's considered a filed sub-bid. There are some, so what's not a filed sub-bid, instrumentation, for example, is not. But that is, you know, the general contractor will likely have a separate, you know, instrumentation and control subcontractors. So
Yeah.
there'll be a number of them
Mhm.
that will be working with the GC. But yes, all licensed, all insured,
Yeah.
And DCAM
certified.
certificates.
Yep.
For the clarifier controls, we're not changing anything, nothing fancy there,
VFDs, no?
cause those are like,
I was gonna wait for
One.
the electrical portion before asking, but,
they're,
so you're not?
I think they're
Okay.
1 horsepower motors, so.
One of them's kinda going out, so that I didn't wanna replace it if,
Are you talking about for the clarifier mechanism or for like a RAS pump?
no, the effluent pumps.
Oh,
Those
'cause
are
we're not-
never
yeah,
mind.
no, we're not
That's
touching those.
tertiary.
Yep.
One thing we will do, which we'll touch on in electrical, is deal with that electrical room though,
Yeah.
so that could
Yes.
potentially come into the project if you wanted to wait and put a VFD in there,
Okay.
because those MCCs are gonna get replaced, which means we need to rewire all that stuff anyway.
And those are where the 3 VFDs are.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll probably need to at least move them, cause we'll need the wall space, I think.
Speaking of electrical,
That's a good segue.
Similarly, sorry, in here, we're gonna replace the gates, I think I already mentioned that. So electrical improvements. We are bringing in a new service. So from out there at the pole, we'll bring in a new service, bring it down that side of the drive towards the digesters, bring it down into a new transformer that's gonna sit out in that grassy area in front of the new building, and then come into the building where all the new gear is gonna go. Then we will refeed basically everything in this building elsewhere for the existing MCCs. We are not replacing any MCCs in the digester building, headworks, or this building. The only MCCs we're replacing are in there, in the secondary building. And then, based on sizing of future loads and with horsepower from the blowers and the mixer aerators. We are preparing to put in a second generator, so that would operate in parallel with the existing one. And that is planning for all future loads, so if you guys do get a TN limit, converting these into your anaerobic and anoxic zones, return or internal recycle pumps, and any future larger equipment for solids dewatering. So,
When is that gonna happen? During, is it the first phase?
so none of that would be in the first phase. The second phase, I think we're still holding off on tertiary phosphorus if you're meeting it with chemical, so we would move to headworks and primary clarifiers.
Yeah, cause I need those tanks for any high flow, so
Mhm.
if that could get done, that
Yep.
would really help.
And then the third phase would be if you get a TN limit in your next permit, would
Okay.
be
That would,
nitrogen, or if you're having trouble with phosphorus, that the third phase is in flux. It's either gonna be solids or nitrogen or phosphorus.
And things change, right? I mean, we know that because we already moved away from tertiary phosphorus and flipped this one ahead, so
Right.
as time goes by, things change. You, as the operator, may have ideas, so those details will be determined, you know, at the right time.
Yeah, as part of the headworks primary clarifiers, we should be set up after that project to be able to handle the 7 MGD.
okay.
So,
And that generator will be exterior, I don't know if you
Yes.
noticed that, Adam.
so this would be exterior, in its own enclosure, and, the ATS, the automatic transfer switch, would be in this corner of the building, so.
And what is that that generator is specifically just for the electrical and the blowers and the digester boilers as well, as an
It-
option?
It
Just
would
for
be
the-
for the whole facility. It would operate in parallel with your existing.
With the other one?
Yeah. The worry or plan is in the future, you're gonna have enough new load that the existing 500 wouldn't be big enough. So give you the same size as you have now and let them operate in parallel.
And we knew, we thought about that too, Dave, when we were replacing the 500, that there might be a scenario with the first upgrade, here we are, that we might need to complement that with another one and have them work in parallel, so.
Yeah,
Our
there was-
estimates show that it makes sense to do it now.
Yeah, when we did that project, there was some discussion of doing a larger exterior or replacing that one in kind, and the plan or what we decided to do at that time was to replace it in kind, so. There's always the plan to put in the second one. Other electrical improvements, so there's gonna be a bunch of new feeding equipment, including power distribution panel and basically a new MCC in this building that's gonna feed all the new equipment. So it'll feed the blowers and the blower VFDs and the mixer aerator VFDs. So this is the new building. This side here is the blower room. So you have your 3 blowers and your new master control panel all in that room. And then in the electrical room on the other side, you would have your blower VFDs in the center aisle, your mixer aerator VFDs on one of the walls, transfer switch, and your power panels and stuff would be placed around the interior. And you would also have a skater control panel. In order to sequence electrically, that's a little tougher than the process. We can construct a lot of the new without any interruptions to the old, which is a good thing. You will have to do a switchover at some point, which would basically be a full facility shutdown. And we'll have temporary power in place, but it would probably be done at like 3 in the morning and they're sequencing, I don't know if this is the electrical room in the secondary building. MCC 5 and 6 are in here, so right now that has your existing surface aerators, the effluent pumps, the RAS pumps, WAS pumps, and some other smaller equipment. These are old and tired as well. We were originally gonna put them in the new building, and then we saw that we could utilize the space still, in here, so rather than making a larger new building, we can save some cost by replacing in the existing building. So basically we'll have two MCCs up against the wall, on the interior wall. And then your VFDs will go on the exterior wall and get refed. But that's mainly the effluent pumps and the RAS pumps. And then we'd also put a SCADA panel in there too. And that sequencing, because, so right now those MCCs and that room have your mechanical aerator, VFDs and power. So we'd be able to install all the new stuff for the mixer aerators and the blowers, get it all up and running, and then be able to take out the mechanical surface aerators and temp power as needed as we replace stuff in those tanks. So we should be able to sequence it, but it will be complicated. We'll have to have temp power from places and
Will there be DO probes?
yes, each zone will have its
Where's
own.
the controls for those, or? Cause
So-
the way you described it, you're gonna be removing the DO probes to put the control panel. It would be like MC5 would be over there, MC5 and 6 would be over there on that wall.
Yeah, so we'll have on the tanks, we'll bring all the DO and flow meter signals, and then have them remote over to the new building,
Okay,
to the new
No
master
longer
control
better.
panel. I think that covers the bulk of the electrical as well. I don't think anything changed on the electrical side of things other than reusing this space. Cause the original plan, when we were gonna get rid of this generator, we were gonna move the electrical equipment into this room so we wouldn't have any issues sequencing. But since this is here, we were then bringing it in the other building and then said, okay, we can get by by putting it here still, so.
So we'll rehab the structure at the same time for the mechanicals?
In what
I
regard?
mean, the
They-
structure itself is a sound structure before we put the mechanicals in. Is there any type of rehab that has to go along with that beforehand to?
So the only rehab in that building that we have in this project is there's a large crack on the lower level in the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
We are planning on fixing that, but otherwise there's no structural work planned in that building.
Okay.
How, just actually going back to like the new generator we have now, like, yeah, like, oh yeah, like, oh, was the plan envision always really to have like a backup generator, or yeah, like, was I mean like, yeah, like, yeah, like if we have a vision to have like a generator like in, yeah, like its own building, I'm wondering why we just bought another, oh yeah, a generator. Oh yeah, like really like a year and a half ago, 2 years ahead of when we would be building out a building for one.
So right now, the facility uses about half the amount of power as this generator is rated for. So this is a 500 kW
Yeah, okay.
generator. I think the facility uses around 300
Okay.
kW.
Yeah.
So we knew there was space for this upgrade
Okay.
with this generator.
Yep.
The issue becomes when
Any
we-
build up we do, we're
yeah, when we
Obviously
start
not.
adding on all the other horsepower for
Yep.
equipment that isn't
Okay.
currently used or there, is when this existing generator starts to become too small. So it's all the future stuff that we're,
okay. And yeah, yeah, like can we address We addressed the generator that we just did based on our needs. Really in the here and now then. Okay.
Yeah, like, as I mentioned earlier, the original recommendation was to do an exterior generator
Mm-hmm.
in its own enclosure and upsize it at that time.
Yeah, like that has some logic.
Yeah. But then the plan was to replace it in kind.
Yeah, like, whose recommendation was that? Prior board? Okay.
And we knew we'd have more information now once we got into design, which we do. And also if we were to put in a new larger generator exterior versus replacing kind,
Yep.
the cost for that would have gone up. So there was a number of variables that I think the previous board factored into the decision.
Okay.
Plus the generator was really bad to the point where
We
we didn't know
needed
if
something.
it was going to.
Time is not our friend.
Okay.
There's a number of factors.
Okay.
yes.
So are you going downstairs at all to tear anything up, like electrical, anything like that, in
So
the secondary?
in that gallery, we have the crack on the lower level that
Yep.
we're gonna repair. There's also conduit that we reused as part of the generator project that goes from the existing ATS underground into the gallery and then up to the generator.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff would go away because we have a new ATS.
Yep.
So we need to refeed that generator to the new ATS. So that would be the only thing that
What
changes
about in the secondary,
on the other
gallery?
side.
On the other side? So there's electrical boxes that leak water.
We were aware of those.
There's actually quite a bit of electrical downstairs that leaks water, so.
I'd have to check back with our electrical engineer. I don't know if what we remove would remove the water on that side. I
But
don't
will they
have it-
take it out of service is what I mean, so it would not be a safety issue with the water leak.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. We can
Yeah,
check.
we'll talk to the electrical engineer on that one, Megan. Good
Okay.
question.
What's spread footing?
Say that again?
Spread footing. That's on the electrical room.
I think it's just the foundation for the new
Oh, for the new building?
building.
Gotcha.
correct.
Okay.
Frost walls.
Yes. Yeah, part of the geotechnical report that was developed by our subcontractor, we did borings over in that area. Groundwater's fairly high in that area,
Oh,
plus,
yeah.
there's a bunch of fill that needs to get dug out and replaced essentially. But the foundation for this building is pretty standard, there's nothing special about it, it's just, we're gonna need some dewatering and some fill replacement.
Yeah, and there won't be any basement either. It'll be,
No.
you know,
Just a slab.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Spread it, obviously spread the load, right?
Yeah.
'Cause the soil has a certain bearing capacity and, yeah, get down below frost, so. Top of page 4, I don't know, Adam, if you touched on it, if we need to get into it too deep, but a couple of new workstations in the main building for
Yep.
SCADA.
So yeah, that's kind of the last piece. The SCADA system here is quite old and tired. We are replacing it. Right now, everything is out on this wall or in the panel on the other side of the wall in the electrical room. We're gonna replace the entire SCADA system, so you'll have a workstation in the lab and probably in your office. And then you'll have panels that you can view out in the new building and in the secondary gallery. So you don't have to come all the way back here to change something or view something. But that would be a full overhaul to the SCADA system.
I think we already talked about the viewing screen in the new lower electrical building. You asked that question already.
That is one thing we're gonna need some input on, so we'll probably have a process and instrumentation meeting with you to figure out what you want in that new
I
SCADA
actually
system.
like how it is now,
Mhm.
especially when you look at it, the screen,
Mhm.
I do know that SCADA is starting, we do need to
Mhm.
revamp it a little bit, so,
Yeah, so if you have screens that you love,
yeah.
you can send us screenshots of those
Okay.
and we can
You guys
plan
wanna
to
try
copy
that?
them.
Okay, perfect.
But if there's any functionality that you don't have that you can add, we can certainly plan for
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot,
So,
so, and I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more with the new equipment too, so.
yeah, exactly.
That's a very important coordination item that we'll work hard on. Adam, do we have a layout of the new blower building, the floor plan that we can go through, whether it's process or electric now?
This is probably the best one. It shows the electrical equipment, and then the blowers are just faded.
So yeah, again, you guys can take a look through this at your own convenience, but we've talked quite a bit with you, Dave, early on about, well, geez, where, I think we've nailed down where the building is going. What type of building? We've talked about a bunch of, functionality and cost and trying to match existing, all those things. We think we're in a good spot, but again, now is the time for you guys to say, we agree, or let's talk about this. The other thing too is layout. We played around with the overall size of the building, but then also the electrical room size, the blower room size. We try to balance, making sure we leave enough room. Most operators like to make sure there's enough room, but not have wasted room, cause that costs extra money, right? So try to find that balance. So as you're looking through things, let us know if you think we're too small, too big, any other questions, now's a good time.
Yeah, so just to build on that, so right now, this side of the building would be towards the digester facility. So we have a 10-foot overhead door, like garage door,
Oh, that's nice.
into the building to be able to get your blowers in and out.
Okay,
So then you have a person door on both sides of the electrical room. That way someone can basically, walk from this building, come into the electrical room, go into the blower room, and then get out on the aeration tank side without having to walk all over the place. We have extra space in front of the blowers so that you can get them off the pad and then out. Behind the blower is gonna be all your discharge and suction air piping. There's some space between the blowers so that you can maintain them. And then this would be some space that you could use for like storage of spare parts and stuff.
what about hoisting, is there gonna be anything overhead?
You can do everything with just like a pallet jack
Okay,
with these, so no hoist.
that's good.
That is a good thing.
And then in terms of the building construction, because I didn't touch on that earlier, we are planning on doing the precast panels. So I know we talked about that a little bit at the beginning of the preliminary design, but that's what we're designing around now. We think the slightly higher capital cost for the material will be significantly offset by the cost of actually constructing it. So the precast panels come formed, I don't know the exact length of it, but they're the full height and like 10 feet wide, and they just stack them together and connect them in. It saves the contractor a significant amount of time, and you don't need a filed sub-bid for masonry, which is
Get a rubber roof?
It'll be a flat roof with EPDM, exactly, or a rubber roof. Yep.
Yeah,
The easier way to say it, yes. And to Adam's point too, we actually have talked with some contractors, and we've done other jobs where, they say you will, if you go with the prefab, precast panels, you should save money overall. So we've,
both time and
labor wise too, probably.
exactly, yep.
The markup that you'll see on the architectural drawings is not final. The building that we're showing there is significantly taller than it needs to be, for example. It was really just to get something in front of you to show you what we're planning on doing. But we will probably reduce the building down to all your piping and stuff's gonna be low, so nothing's driving the building height in terms of equipment.
Makes sense.
Any questions on the electrical side of
No.
things?
No. Anything else, Megan?
Nope, I'm good.
Dave? Nothing?
Seen it?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So this is what the lower piping will look like, this is behind the blowers.
You can see it going up over there.
So this would all be insulated due to heat
Mhm.
inside the building, and then outside the building it would be insulated due to noise.
Yeah, like I definitely like think, I mean, like once we have like an OPM on board, I mean, like I think I'd like to, I mean, I think one of the questions that we're gonna have for them is like about how you get the overhead piping or underground and, you know, like any alternatives and like a best path forward for that, so.
Yeah, Dave and we've talked a little bit about, when the OPM is officially on board, maybe not too far from now, we have a meeting
Oh.
similar to what we're doing.
Yep.
Give them this in advance of that.
Yep.
To your point.
Yeah, like we want their input almost
Mhm.
immediately, and that's,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm sure they'll get up to speed quickly and
Yep.
they may have some strong opinions on some, again, we want that now, not too much later.
Yeah. Preliminary design is definitely the right time.
Going back to the aerators,
Mhm.
when you start rehabbing it, we have the ferric tank right there.
Mhm.
Will that be in the way? The piping, everything, and how?
Do you use that
We
tank
use
now?
it in the summer
Okay.
to meet permit.
We could certainly move and set up something
Okay.
temporary and just connect into the piping wherever's easiest for the contractor.
Where is the port gonna be for that? Have we factored that in
For the ferric
for
itself,
the ferric?
you dump it into the effluent channel now, or
Right now, we have it in 1-4 and 2-4.
we could certainly maintain that.
Okay.
If you want a more permanent system, I'm not
I want
familiar with
something-
how
okay.
it is.
We can talk about it later
yeah.
too.
But that's something we could definitely
Okay.
add in. But the contractor would very easily be able to
I
move
know
that
it's
and
nothing
maintain
easy,
it.
I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of the ferric tank. thing.
No, that's good to know, cause I thought that was, not
It's
in use.
offline in the fall and winter, and then we put it back in April.
Like, we can definitely talk about that, cause if it's like, you don't like how the piping goes into those tanks and you want something
And
better,
something
you
better,
can,
yeah.
Okay. Top of page 4, we move to sole source items.
Yes, so, we have brought Doug Lapp into the conversation already on potential needs for sole source, since he is the purchasing officer for the town. The Massachusetts laws for equipment is you need to name 3 in an or equal, if you can. If you can't, then you need to sole source it. So the Invent Mixer Aerator, there's no competitor that we feel is a true competitor to their product. They make an inferior product, and we wouldn't want them to be installed. So we wouldn't include them in our specifications, and we would recommend, if you got like a shop drawing or something that's submitted during construction, we wouldn't recommend accepting it. So we typically will sole source around the Invent Mixer Aerator. Invent is the manufacturer. So that's one item that we would look to sole source. And in speaking with Doug, he would just need a justification letter. And Allen Bradley PLCs, which I believe is what you have
Yep.
now, that was coordinated with SAR. And then the second generator, in order to parallel with the existing one, we would have to have the same manufacturer, so cat generator.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, given that the intent is to fund construction through the SRF loan program, you know, we'll take care of things, as Adam said, locally, you know, with Doug and Dave, but we would also let the SRF know, the folks know, DEP know as well. So you should go along as long as we follow the town's procedure. They've been there, done that.
Any questions on sole source?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Remaining coordination items, other than the couple that we've touched on. One thing with new codes, any new building over 2,000 square feet requires a bathroom. This building is not over 2,000 square feet, and we also are 400 feet away from a bathroom. We don't think the new building needs a bathroom, but we need to confirm that with the town's authority having jurisdiction, so we need to coordinate that early on.
Yeah, like, would that be through the building commissioner, I assume, or is
Yeah,
that?
we would have to go through a, probably an exempt status on that if we wanted to.
Is the
Yeah.
fire chief the AHJ for the town, or?
On that, on the bathroom, I mean, I think we'd have to go through
Fine, that's it.
planning and
Building?
building, and we'd have to go through building first, so.
For
I
the
can reach out to,
22,000 square feet?
Mhm.
We're just under, right?
So it's not needed.
Yeah.
But we wanna make sure.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, like, just having like the building commissioner clarify that at the outset
Yeah,
solves everything. Hopefully.
Said differently, we just don't wanna get to 90%
Oh, yeah.
on final design and they
Yeah.
say, oh, where's your
Yep.
bathroom?
Yep.
And we say, oh,
I'll bring that up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what about the sprinkler systems? That's all taken care of.
good question, yeah, well,
Don't believe the building needs to be sprinkled, but we will have a new fire alarm system in there.
good question, Walter, we've already done a code review and, I don't know, it's probably an appendix, right, NFPA 820, where we take a look at all those different types of code
Yeah.
things and
Yeah, it changes.
it does, so, good question.
Okay. That brings us to the costs, I believe.
Yep. So yeah, you guys can see on page 5 in the agenda and whatever section it's in the PDR. Yeah, it is 4. The good news is the cost, you know, we started out with purposely a conservative cost estimate so far. Knock on wood, we're still coming in under that. So the intent is to keep it that way. Through final design though, if there are things that we decide to put in and we can fit them, that's up to you guys. So, but right now you can see we've got total project cost, you know, let's round it up to 34. I think we've just in general terms been calling it 35, but you can see it's a little less.
Just to run a little bit through, the civil portion of the cost is really covering the new electrical service coming in, so we're gonna need duct bank and we're gonna tear up the pavement and have to repave.
Sure.
There's new grading and stuff around the new building, sidewalks and stuff around the building, plus the supports for the aeration piping. So that kind of all goes into the civil costs. The architectural is mostly the new building. Structural is the foundation and some of the new building, plus repair and stuff like that in new tanks, and the new aeration piping supports. Process is all our process equipment that we've discussed. Mechanical HVAC is really just for the new building. Instrumentation is all the instruments and new SCADA system. Electrical is everything we've discussed, and then specials is generally excavation, dewatering, mobilization of the contractor, and things that nature. We have planned for, if we need it, we'd have an estimate in there for temporary air, so if we take a tank offline and all of a sudden we need another tank offline because we can't seal it off, or maybe it works better for the contractor, we can bring in a temporary air system as needed to get in more air in the online tanks.
So the two biggest chunks are process and electrical for construction. You can see the factors that we have in there. Again, at this point, we'll start to tighten those percentages up as we get towards final design completion, but.
We are carrying a higher design contingency than we, maybe normally would for preliminary design. And that's primarily due to, because this is SRF funded, it is BABA. BABA will apply to it. We don't have a great
Yeah, I'm sorry, what is
handle.
BABA? I'm
I was
sorry.
just gonna say,
So
explain
the
Bob.
Sorry.
Build America, Buy American Act
Oh, okay.
requires 55% of your equipment and piping and valves and stuff like that to be American.
Okay, got it.
Generally, American products are more expensive
Okay.
and they take longer to get.
Okay.
So because of that, and because we haven't really had many projects, because there's not much equipment that exists out there that actually complies with BABA,
You wanna make sure.
we
you
don't have a good
hold it,
handle on
yeah.
how much the cost could increase, so we are carrying a little bit of conservatism there. Similarly with tariffs, we don't really have a good handle on how tariffs are potentially gonna affect things, so we have a little bit of conservatism built in there.
Yeah, and you guys can see it goes from 14.4 to 27.4 just with those factors, so.
Yeah, there's really $13 million in contingency alone.
Yeah, so it's a.
Which is healthy. I mean, we need.
It's a safe,
yeah,
conservative
yep.
place to be, and again, you're gonna get an updated cost estimate at what, 90% of final design? So these numbers will continue to
60%.
dial, well, 60%, 90.
Yeah.
We'll continue to dial them in and probably pull those factors down as we get further and further to.
Have a true number, yeah.
True numbers,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
The construction contingency line item is really a contingency just for change orders during construction, so we always built in a little bit of a safety factor for change orders. That's essentially what that covers.
The 9% over 3 years. Like, does that mean hopefully like we might be kind of leveling off in terms of
Inflation.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, really, we expect construction to start, let's say, summer of 2027. We expect the project to take 2.5 to 3 years because there's long lead times associated with the electrical equipment in
Yep,
particular. So to make sure we account for the 3 to 4 years from the time pricing things now, we add that inflation in.
No, like it makes sense. I'm just wondering actually like is it actually like a little like is it like a little too much on the lower side. Obviously things will even out. I mean like there's other room there to absorb it. But like, just in case we have that issue because we are practically speaking like in some ways 3.5 years out in some parts of this. So.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a couple of years ago, we were carrying higher inflation rates
Yep.
because inflation was
Yep.
skyrocketing. Things seem to have settled down, and they seem to be trending that way. So
Okay.
we've used 3% per year.
Okay. Well that makes sense. I'll just ask him just
Yep.
Okay.
With the rest of the numbers there too, so estimated construction cost is 27.4, you can see then you've got engineering. The engineering design that's our contract with you.
Yep.
Engineering services for bidding and construction, we're not under contract with you. So that's an estimate.
Okay.
So that number, we'll see where that number ends up. So to be determined, but 12% should be good. OPM, you guys will end up telling us. We threw in an estimate, but we'll see where that lands. And then there's just some others.
So for that OPM, just to be clear, I don't know what you're going to be under contract for, if it's just design or if it's design and construction. But this estimate would be to cover both.
Okay.
So, you might know half of it now and we might start an estimate for the second half or something like that. So keep that in mind when we go to
Got
update
it.
that number.
Is that for total or per year?
Looks
The
like
400,000,
It's total.
and that's based off of, so what was the percentage you base that off of the 33 million.
I'd have to
I
back
don't,
calculate
yeah, I
that.
don't recall off the top of my head, but I can
Like 1%?
I can take a look at that
Yeah,
for
we
you.
can take a look. I have a suspicion our estimate
typically-
might be low, but.
Yeah, it's low.
Okay.
Well, it's usually, from what I understand, it's usually, 4% and up from what I've seen in procurement,
Yeah.
3.5 to 4.
If our estimate is low,
Okay.
the good news, Dave,
It's
is
early
we've got
on.
some, it's early
Yeah,
on,
we can absorb
we've
it.
got some.
No, I
we've
got you.
we've
I was
got
just
good-
wondering how we based that.
Yeah, we got
because I
cushion
just-
elsewhere,
alright.
and if we swung and kinda missed on that one,
Okay.
we can correct it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 1.19%.
So, yeah, it sounds like we're a little thin.
Yeah.
But, well, and your OPM too is really, it's really gonna boil down to hours, right?
Right.
The rates are the rates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's where we are cost wise, so far, we like the kind of conservative position that we're in for you right now. Any other questions on cost, estimate?
No, those generally make sense. Like that we have that $2 million as a contingency, that's always helpful, especially early on.
Mhm.
The proof will ultimately be in the pudding when we go out to bid.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get a good bidding window and a lot of contractors that need a job, right? So that'll usually result in a good bid.
Yeah, the unfortunate slash fortunate climate we're in right now is there's a lot of work going on, and there's only so many larger contractors that can do that work. So hopefully we hit a time window where
Yeah.
people are looking to do jobs and we get multiple contractors bidding on it.
Well, and without getting into the details too much, we'll have to pre-qualify, right?
Mhm.
Contractors on this, it's mass
Yeah.
law. We have a job on the Cape, we don't need to get into details on where it is, but we pre-qualified 4, right?
Okay.
Right now, we're hearing that, we're hoping that changes, so it's timing. It's timing.
Yeah, it's busy out there right now. So
Okay.
hopefully by the time we get done,
Yeah.
slow up a little.
Yeah, everything kind of cycles through. Okay.
Let's be honest, sometimes there's just a little bit of luck factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to schedule,
Yeah.
page 6. So yeah, the schedule, you guys have probably had, Dave, we've had a chance to talk a little bit. This schedule lays out our recommendation right now. Our hope at the beginning was we could somehow find a path to make it into the 2025 SRF timeline, but due to a variety of factors, it just isn't realistic at this point, so we decided we should, we're gonna go ahead and submit a project evaluation form or a PEF for SRF loan funding. It's gonna be a resubmittal. They're due Friday. I
Yep.
think we've talked about that a few times, so we're gonna resubmit that and get this project on the IUP intended use plan,
Yeah.
or the fundable list for next year, calendar year 2026.
Yeah, my concern is obviously we here, like, in terms of our board, thought we were working, towards October 3rd, obviously. That's also what, we conveyed at the town meeting when we went, at the town meeting for the SRF
Yeah.
authorization in May. I get that things evolve, but my biggest concern is, that, we handle everything with DEP, like in a healthy way, so we don't just really by pulling out of 2025, we don't, we do so in a way that really reserves our place, in 2026, and is that like a very strong possibility and or a guarantee, or,
I would stop short
I
of
mean,
guarantee, but.
that's my anxiety right now.
And you're not alone, we've had the same discussion internally, so guarantee, yeah, we can't do that.
Yep.
But what we can say to you is, the project should make the intended use plan again. You guys, I actually printed out today, and this is where you guys are on the list right now for this year.
Yeah.
So you guys are 1, 2,
5 or
3,
6?
6. So you're in, you know, we're not, yeah, well, how many points? Very high,
Yeah.
very high. So it's going to be a resubmittal. You should continue to score very high. Every year is a little different, right? What other projects are submitting, what's their pool of money, there's some variables there, but.
Yeah, who's in, yeah. all that stuff,
Exactly,
yeah.
so you should score very high again, so, and our track record has been, because we've had a number of projects, sometimes you're not sure if you should submit, so you submit, and then your schedule dictates, well, we didn't quite, let's submit again.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're landing now with you
Yeah.
guys.
Makes sense.
They usually end up right, pretty close to where they were before on that fundable list.
Okay.
And there'll be communication with DEP as well, so we should be okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there are a variety of reasons why just trying to make this October 3rd just wasn't in the cards. We wanted to, we tried. But we think this schedule, the way we have it laid out right now, we actually think we can improve upon that a little bit, which is good.
Mhm.
You know, so when you submit the SRF loan application, so this year it's by October 3rd. By. It could be earlier. Next year it'll be by October 2nd, I think is that frame, whatever, they'll tell us. But if we can submit that application several months earlier, we'll do that. So we can still improve upon that. So that is our plan.
Yeah, like, and I'm just, I mean, like, and I just wanna, like, talk this through, because, I mean, yeah, like, I wholeheartedly hear exactly what you're saying, but, like, as a board, we walked, yeah, we walked into a lot, we've had to walk back some things, we've had to adjust.
Yeah.
And, you know, but like one of the expectations that was set, very early on, like especially by the prior board, was really that everything for phase 1 was in the queue, and and as a result, October 3rd of 25 was, was a very plausible, realistic, endeavor. Like now, like it really, now it really seems like it was aspirational. Really at best, and it's our board who is really now responsible. For owning that, and also,
Sure.
and also like conveying that out as well,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
here we are, we own it, but we may be owning something, messaging something that really might have been aspirational all along.
Sure.
So
Yeah, there might have been a little bit of aspiration there, or a little bit of optimism.
Okay.
Things change. We had to work through some things during preliminary design, which we have. I know, and this may be somewhat coincidental or convenience, but the timing is actually lining up a little bit with the OPM coming on board now too, so they'll be able to have a say, a good say.
no, like it lines up
in preliminary.
actually healthy in a healthy way, especially with all this.
In some ways, some of the parts are falling into place a little better, and that's not being said as an
Wholeheartedly-
excuse.
Wholeheartedly agree. I agree.
You, and if I can, you would, if we push Wright Pierce anymore to push on the design, we wouldn't be doing our due diligence to the town. In the fact, we would be rushing, well, we should not be rushing at this, cause it's, you know, it's, where we are at right now is, you know, it's
How you like
not as
like a
important
perfect
as
way at a
it's going
perfect
to
point
get.
right now. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
But like I'm just in hindsight, I'll be like reading expectation that October 2025 was gonna be it. Anyways, like at the beginning of this thing, I think actually if anything was a rush, it was actually that, expectation, it was a little bit of a rush.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, like I wholeheartedly, I actually think this, timeline is healthier. It's healthier, especially with an OPM coming on board as well. And we're doing our due diligence all around here.
Yep.
So I think it's great, but like I just, there's like an expectation out there in the community, oh yeah, that like everything with the SRF is off to the
Yeah.
races,
Yeah.
and you know we just like at this point we just have to temper that
Yeah, we hear you.
a lot.
And the good news is the town has the monies appropriated,
Yep.
which is good.
Yep.
The OPM's coming on board at a great time to be able to have a voice at 30%, which is preliminary design, which is great, not too much further down the road. So I think that's good. And, you said it earlier too, getting this design done out to bid and getting a contractor fixing stuff sooner than later is a good thing. But let's make sure we do the due diligence and don't rush it. So if we can beat this schedule, that's our hope, without getting a little overly optimistic again.
Okay.
And we'll also, as we discussed earlier, keep in mind when an ideal time to bid this project.
That's huge.
would be.
That's,
So-
yep.
Any more on schedule?
I have a quick question, that, sixth on the list that's the Mass DEP list, correct? Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, and I could send a complete copy of this to you. This is the final IUP, if you will, intended use plan, so this is
Right.
just one page right out of it. So I could send it to you guys tomorrow even,
Sure.
just so you have it.
That would be great. Can you send this as well electronically so I can, have to retype?
Excuse me.
And this is pretty conservative, your scheduling too.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Yeah, so we've had some internal discussions about we can improve on that, so
Right.
that's what we're telling you guys. Okay. Getting towards the end of the agenda here, so page 7, funding. Well, we started talking about, the first item we just talked about, you got all the funding in place, great. We talked a little bit about, we've already covered the SRF. So you guys are on right now, and on this list right here, you're on 32.5. Just remember, if you're trying to compare 32.5 to the table, the cost table we just looked at here, there's certain things in Massachusetts that are not eligible for SRF loan funding. The big one is design phase engineering services. So just know that, so that's kind of why those numbers are off a little bit. But we're gonna resubmit at the end of the week, we've already talked about that. Should be on the IUP for next year. Should know, usually it's the beginning of the year, sometimes DEP slides a little bit. So,
Sliding pretty consistently.
yeah, so.
They're overworked over there.
Yeah, so we put in, on item 2D there, we said around January 1st. It's, the last couple of years, it's been a little bit later than that. So be it, and then so they come out with a draft first, then they'll come out with a final a month or two after. So what about other funding, earmark funding? We did resubmit, handful of months ago. Stay tuned, we don't have an update for you, we're still, there's a lot going on down in DC, right?
Yeah, like is that the congressional earmark funding?
Yeah, we submitted it. Remember I talked to you briefly about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
just
we saw it for the,
practically I don't have
monetary
any hope. I mean, Jesus, like they can't. I'll just shut them down. I'm not optimistic. Let's just say that.
We're not running to the bank for you guys either. I hope we all run to the bank
Yeah.
with you guys, but right now, that's the safer approach is to, if it happens, that would be wonderful, but we are, I guess we wanted to just at least let you guys know we are keeping an ear on that one. We have Jess, Liz, and Keith, that they focus on funding, that's what they do, so
yeah.
they're in tune to what's going on there, and we did ask them when we were putting the agenda together for this, any update, they said, stay tuned.
Kevin, does it warrant, us reaching out to DEP at some point and letting them know where we are and why, we didn't meet the October deadline? And I mean, obviously after this week, cause you're doing the, PDF this week.
We should talk to DEP, we could go through Dave Burns or, whatever, so I know we just chatted last week about it. I think DEP's interesting, I mean, as part of the SRF loan application, we're gonna have to attach plans and specs, so.
Right.
And they'll do their administrative review and their technical review. But we should talk to them, I would say, let's, maybe after the OPM is officially on board,
Okay. Yep.
they've looked at things, we've all met,
Yeah.
gotten their feedback. and we're wrapping up the PDR and transitioning, so
That
like
makes sense.
next month,
Mhm.
so soon.
Okay,
Then I think that'd be a good time, Dave, to,
yeah,
do you guys want a copy, DEP, do you want a copy of the PDR? They may say, sure, they may say, no, we'll wait for plans and facts, but let's talk.
okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, what did we miss? So I mean, that,
Not much.
for us, yes, I think we're doing okay on time. But yeah, other questions from the town, comments, concerns?
Yeah, like, and just to like segue back in, like, into a discussion with the OPM idea, yeah, like, we're planning on having a OPM attend next week's meeting, and yeah, like, I think we were initially talking about having like a joint, like a joint introductory meeting then as well, like between like YPS, like in DPC if possible, or
I think what we talked about was we were gonna have DPC in on Monday night.
yep,
And then not long after, I know we had a discussion on it, on getting all the principal parties together as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's another meeting or a working group meeting, you know, or,
you know, like I think like a working group
yeah,
is also fine too.
okay, and
Yeah,
then,
that
and
works.
then
Yep.
maybe it makes sense, that gets us out of July, and then maybe we have something, you know, in August, you know, and then have a
Yeah,
discussion.
like the end of
with the
August,
board.
once we actually get like through like the IUP is submitted.
Yeah,
I like that.
you got a lot of moving parts the next month.
Yeah, no, it's
And then we can
yeah.
have everybody back, if that makes sense. And in the
That works.
meantime, we'll have some day sessions to
Yep.
get everybody involved, so then at that point, when we come into that August meeting,
It's just hitting the ground running.
right, then we can put everything out for the board,
Okay.
so, if that
Yeah,
makes
and-
sense.
That works.
We didn't go
Yeah,
line.
no, that's perfect.
Sorry, we didn't go row by row in the schedule, but you guys can take a, but
Yeah.
the very first row, you know, says final PDR,
Yes, sir.
you know, client OPM. We had August 11th. Is that a touch optimistic? It could be a week or two optimistic,
Not too far.
whatever, but
No,
August is.
yeah, no, it's practical. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys do your meeting with DBC, get them on
Okay,
board, and then
perfect.
maybe if you, when you guys are there, feel free to ask us to send to them, or you send to them this,
Okay.
give them a week or two, whatever.
Right,
You should be able, the emailed link, you should be able to.
we should be able
forward
to, yeah, okay,
Okay.
And then let's schedule a meeting where we get all of us plus DPC.
yeah,
Do this, some version of this again, get their thoughts. We tidy it up, we're done, and we launch into final.
Yeah, like it goes without saying also, like 98% of this, like I don't have any clue what I'm looking at either. Having the OPM in, I'm like is much more valuable than having any type of like discussion with me anyway. So
Well, that's part of their role.
a lot of that's Greek. So
If you ever want more explanation, I'm happy to give it.
thank you.
engineers
Just
love
ask
to do
questions.
that.
No.
My family's all engineers, so I know.
You know, what does my wife say to me? You gonna make a spreadsheet for that, Kevin?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about my own design.
Yeah,
That is.
My father's kitchen, so.
Okay.
Megan, anything else from you that we
No,
missed?
I think that pretty
No.
much summed it up.
How's that?
I'll probably think of things after, but
Adam, you had a couple last items there under,
Yeah.
hazard blowers.
So, two main things. The blowers we're designing around are the hybrid screw compressors. There's two main manufacturers that we design around, Airzon and Atlas Copco. There's another manufacturer out there, Kaiser, who makes more of it's not truly a hybrid screw compressor. It's more of just a screw compressor. So they're a bit more efficient. They would have a smaller motor. They can offer savings on the operational sides of things. We wouldn't be able to bid them together, so it would be a pre-selection sole source. I think they can offer some savings, but I wouldn't necessarily for a screw compressor, that's typically higher pressure stuff on the gas side of things. Kaiser has opened up the market on the low pressure side of things, so this type of air is low pressure. And no one else has made that jump yet, so they're really the only ones.
Is there, not to get too far off topic, is there a reason for us to reach out to some of our suppliers, whether it be electrical, gas? Do we need to increase some of the capabilities of that being run into? Because dealing with National Grid, that's the conversation we would need to start having them in the loop on now.
So there's nothing on the gas side of things.
Mm-hmm.
On the electrical side of things, we would definitely coordinate that, but I don't think there's a service size issue
Okay,
coming in off the main line.
alright,
Yeah, electrical engineer would have already
Yeah.
made that clear to us.
okay.
That is a good question, or I just thought of something. So we have a oil tank down back that goes into the generator.
Mhm.
Is that one sufficient for both generators?
So the new generator would have its own belly tank. So it'd
we'd
be,
have to put a second tank into it. So where would that go?
so it's underneath the generator itself.
It's integral to the
Yeah.
generator.
Yeah.
They call it a pot belly, it's right, so it kicks it up in the air a little bit further,
Mm-hmm.
but it's right under, it's part
It's
of.
above ground.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it holds 72 hours of fuel, but it's all integral to the generator itself.
Okay.
So it would be another tank that you'd have to fill, but
Can we
nothing that goes.
connect it to the tank that we have? In case we ran out, we could use that as a transfer?
I don't believe so.
No, there's a separation which would be part of the problem, but I don't think, yeah, I would say.
There's no way of using both for both generators, seeing it's the same, we have to go with CAT.
That's an interesting question, I think not,
Yeah.
but we'll
Could
look
certainly
into it.
look into
Make We'll look into
I'm just
it.
trying to think of something, just in
Sure.
case we ran out, you could utilize
Because
What's
the
another source.
What's the capacity on that tank?
I don't know, I'd have to look it up. Right now, I think it's like 550 gallons,
the back one,
The back one.
or the one
The-
in front of the digester building.
the one right here. The one right there, that one's 550.
Yeah, I think that one's
That
2,000.
Yeah, that one's more,
We'll look into that, we can circle back.
yeah.
There's a little bit of language in the PDR as well about what Adam said, yeah, it has a belly tank and it's good for 72 hours run, but
Mhm.
interconnecting,
Yeah.
yeah, more on that.
Especially the one down back would be tough because you need a big pump to get it up
Yeah,
here.
you got a couple 100 feet distance.
The one here is maybe more doable. I just don't know if you can. We can look into it.
The last item, pre-selection or pre-purchase, maybe for some of those sole source items.
Yeah, so for the sole source items, we could certainly pre-purchase them, which we typically wanna do that to have the contractor have a price that you've already negotiated in the bid that they have to use, which could offer some savings up. I don't think there's any savings to be had on any of the process equipment, but one thing you could look to do to save time during construction is to pre-purchase the electrical equipment, because that has such a long lead time. If we purchased it earlier and get that ball rolling, then you'd be able to potentially save some time in construction. So just something to think about if you wanted to pursue that.
Who stores that?
That's a good question. Well, because the generator,
That's
I
exactly
know
what
what you're
I'm asking
thinking.
it, yeah. So who's in, you know what I mean, if, so that, we would own that from the purchase, unless we purchased it and left it with the manufacturer or the,
Had them store it. or-
Store it.
We'll
Okay.
Which we were
store
hoping
it.
to do with that
Okay.
generator,
Will
but they
they?
didn't have room for it.
I know.
You won't know until.
Okay.
Yeah.
They sent it here.
alright,
So
but
those,
yes,
those
that
are
is
some of
one
the
to
obvious
consider.
questions we have to
Yeah.
work through.
There's also potentially like warranty stuff.
right, if you're buying it so far ahead, how, does that
When does
warranty
that
still
start?
carry over to the next cycle?
And you also get into some of the potential headaches like we did with the generator project
Right.
where the contractor no longer owns that and they don't own the dealing
Right.
with those issues, so.
Okay,
So some of those same overlap issues could happen, but really the main savings there is a long lead time. We just get the ball rolling early.
Right.
That way we're not waiting 2 years for equipment to get here.
And when we transition into final design, we can get a little more specific to say, here are the components that have the longest lead times, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about the pros and cons, and we'll kick it around a little bit and make some early decisions.
Alright.
Is that enough from us for one night? Probably. Thanks again for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, like, thank you for the material.
Thanks for explaining all that.
Yeah. Okay, well, we know you guys have a few more items.
Pause that for a minute?
You sure?
Yeah.
Gonna take a quick recess, we'll be right back.
That was a bad idea.
Oh, can I ask
Sorry
you to
about
sign before you leave? We just
Okay.
need this.
Just moving on through the agenda to the superintendent update. Dave?
Just a few items. So, just a few things, so, I had a discussion with DPC, the, future OPM, so we're ironing out a little of the verbiage in the contract. We just worked the last of it out today. We should have the contract in here tomorrow.
Great.
I'll forward it to the board as soon as we receive it, so you guys can see it. And hopefully we, with our next meeting on next Monday,
Yep.
you know, we could, once you guys are comfortable with it, we could hopefully sign that. I tentatively have DPC scheduled for the 28th,
Perfect.
At the
Come
same
in.
time.
Okay,
so.
thank you.
One other item that we had an incident on Forest Street, 184 Forest Street, was what, July 5th? July 5th was called out about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So we had a sewer backup at the residence at 184 Forest Street at that time of night. We had an issue with the pump station, and sewage came out on, the resident has a split level ranch, so his bottom floor of, not a basement, but his finished level was down probably 5.5 feet lower than, you know, our infrastructure, so obviously
Oh, yeah.
it's right across the street from the pump station, and it came out of his shower unit.
Okay.
So, we got called out with some of the Veolia personnel. We had the residents, told the residents to leave that night. The fire department was there as well.
Okay.
They agreed that the residents shouldn't stay in the home. They went to the hotel room. I think we left them at the hotel room till the following Wednesday. I contacted CERT-Pro emergency line, which we had a contact from before. They
Okay.
came out the next day, did some remediation to get the house up, you know, so it was habitable. And then, we did some air quality testing, and we had to test the sheetrock, some of the other, building materials that were down in that lower level to make sure they weren't hazardous before removal. Today, they did the, first part of the remediation where they'll pull up the flooring, and then they'll go up 2 feet onto the sheetrock due to moisture content in the walls.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll get it down to, up to that point. Obviously, our insurance company's involved, so they're looking into it. You know, I talked to the, claim adjuster literally right before the meeting.
Okay.
He's happy with everything that we've been doing up to this point, and they're handling it from here at that point. The residents, I can't say enough about them, they've been just very, very easy to deal with, especially in a situation like that, but we'll figure it out and we'll give an update, you know, once we,
Thank you
we
for the
figure
update.
everything out. Maintenance, we're gonna continue to jet and vacuum some of the sewer lines, we're gonna start that, in August. I know we touched base on it, so there was some streets we never got to finish just because the weather turned on us late last year. So we're gonna start that in August. We're gonna do one night a week to start, and then just try to, you know, do something like that and get those. We're gonna start over on Reservoir, back onto Hingham, onto Webster, and we have a couple other areas that we wanna hit as well. So, then we have the Center Ave project. I know I've touched base on that a little bit. That was, started, what was that, maybe 3 years ago, Robin, the last time I was here? or 2
At
years
least,
ago?
it was already on the radar for John, when John Laughlin was here. Didn't get started, you looked at it,
Yeah,
starting about 3 years ago, yeah.
right, so we started submittals with MassDOT, cause it's on MassDOT, format, so when I came back on, we revisited it, cause it wasn't done. So the process is a lot different now, so now they need, engineering data, you know, on the rehab work, so before it was like, look, we're gonna tear out sewer manhole number 2 in front of 196 Center Ave. So the whole dynamic has changed, going through the SHAPS program through MassDOT, so, it's gonna cost a little bit more money doing to engineering.
Yep.
That is set up with Weston and Sampson, which I know I made reference to one of the other meetings. They're gonna come out and do sewer manhole inspections, not only at Center Ave, but also Goddard Ave, where we ran into an issue before. They're gonna look at those, and also all of Concord Street, which we talked about segmenting on cross streets or intersections where we're gonna do metering. Cause we feel that we have a lot of I&I, on that 30-inch pipe coming into the plant. That'll be from Market Street, every cross section like Albion, John Down,
Okay.
so, you know, Heritage, so all the way up, so we can segment that and meter that and come up with a plan for that, so.
Did you say 30-inch pipe?
That's the 30-inch pipe coming into the plant. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then like I said, I made reference to Goddard Ave, and then also, Concord Street. And I think that gets us caught up on the maintenance, and I know Megan and I have been having discussions where we're trying to get all of the, pump stations up on a maintenance program. We just cleared out, I had a company clear out over at Forest Street.
Yep.
We took, you know, a lot of the shrubbery where we had some branches coming over the roofs, and we can now see the roof. The roof needs a little work. We have a couple critters in the soffit, which we're waiting. We reached out to the ACO. He's gonna remove those once we get closer to fall. And then we'll start it on Forest Street, get some repairs done, get that maintained in and out. Megan's working on doing some pump swap outs, which she'll touch base on next Monday. Some other,
Clean up and
yeah, so,
check in
and,
the SCADA.
yeah, and then we're gonna work each station at a time. And then, you know, we started this like 3 years ago, I think, Walter, you remember we started clearing out around all the pump stations, cause we had an incident at Old Country Way one year where the tree actually fell and it needed some work, so we've been doing that. So we have this one, this was the last one, I think. They're gonna go over to Lincoln Road this week, and that kinda gets us caught up, and then Violi's gonna kinda take over day-to-day maintenance, and then be in a pretty good spot. You know, the idea of that is to get caught up on all the pump stations, so when we do start getting into the
It'll be all be
meat
done
here,
focus.
that'll be all set, and there'll be a little piece of mine out in the field, if
Okay.
that makes sense, so.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions on any of that?
Well, I mean,
Pretty
Walter,
short
do you
for
have any?
me.
It is. No, that may have been a
Yeah, I
record.
can keep going.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda. Next item is future and upcoming meetings. As mentioned, we do have our next meeting on July 28th. I believe also like at 6:30, correct?
It is.
Okay. And so we will plan. We'll plan for that. Like I know. I know Matt Ryan. He'll be back for that as well. And then just while we're here, just like anticipating the end of August. Let's see, like the last Monday of August is August 25th. Is that alright to plan for it at this point?
Mhm.
Good to
I'm
know.
not sure.
Okay.
I'll be going to Canada in
Oh,
August.
okay.
I'll,
At the end of August, I assume? Like at the end of August, like August 25th-ish? Okay. Okay, like we can even, we can even do the 18th. Like
that's
that
not for sure.
works, okay.
Because I have a couple of things I have to get done before I leave anyway. But
Alright.
I'll let you know
No, no, that works. Maybe like we just hold like on August like until like maybe like next week, and then like we can like revisit everyone's availability then.
Mhm.
And then, let's see, like I think that's everything. Anyone have anything else, or is that it?
We can send out a preliminary agenda tomorrow, cause we'll need that in
Yeah.
Wednesday, Robin?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you need to add anything to that, I need an email quick.
Yeah, like I will like get back to you ASAP on that. Like I was actually pretty good last week, wasn't I?
You were.
I was impressed with myself. You got nothing else on the agenda? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Right. That's a meeting time is now 8:14. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.